Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
نستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور انفسنا وسيئات اعمالنا من يهد الله فهو المهتدي ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا ونشهد ان لا اله الا الله وحده لا شريك له وان محمدا عبده ورسوله ادى الامانه وبلغ الرساله ونصح الدين وجاهد في الله حق الجهاد حتى اتاه من الله اليقين فعليه من الله صلاه وتسليم يا ايها الذين امنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى اله وصحبه اجمعين يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. May praise and glory and gratitude be for Allah, the Creator of heaven and earth. We worship Him alone and no others. We bear witness that there is no God worthy of worship other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Muhammad is indeed the messenger of the truth. May Allah's peace and blessing and mercy be upon him, his companions and followers until the day of judgment. Ameen. I remind you and I remind myself about taqwa Allah, guarding yourselves and those whom you love against deserving the punishment and the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أما بعد فالحج يا إخوان أحد أركان الإسلام ومبانيه العظام ودعائمه الخمس. Today's topic inshallah is of course about Hajj. And we all know that Hajj is one of the pillars of Islam, and it's obligatory. So we're going to reflect on it inshallah a little bit. We're going to talk about why is it mandatory and what are the goals and objectives of the Hajj and what are the effects of the Hajj inshallah. I'll cover that in a short and a brief khutbah inshallah as much as possible. But it is a topic that is very important. وفرض من فروضه دل عليه الكتاب والسنة والإجماع والمعقول وهو فرض عين على المكلف المستطيع مرة واحدة في العمر. So it's obligatory for every able Muslim and Muslimah who reach the age and capable of performing the Hajj financially and physically and so on for once in a lifetime. ومن أنكر ذلك فقد كفر إلا إذا كان حديث عهد بالإسلام أو نشأ في بادية بعيدة عن العلم وأهله. الأدلة من الكتاب. So here are the proofs that this is an obligatory pillar of this religion. قال تعالى الله سبحانه وتعالى says إن الصفا والمروة من شعائر الله فمن حج البيت أو اعتمر فلا جناح عليه أن يطوف بهما ومن تطوع خيرا فإن الله شاكر عليم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks to us about the ritual of walking between the Safa and Al-Marwa and performing the Hajj. So that's one of the ayat. The second one is وَقَالَ تَعَالَى وَأَتِمُّوا الْحَجَّ وَالْعُمْرَةَ لِلَّهِ فَإِنْ أَحْسَنْتُمْ فَمَا اسْتَيْسَرَ مِنَ الْهَدْيِ. Complete the Hajj and the Umrah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes that obligatory upon us. وقال تعالى ولله على الناس حج البيت من استطاع إليه سبيلا. For every capable person and has a way to perform the Hajj, then it's obligatory for him or her to perform the Hajj inshallah. Fourthly, وقال تعالى وأذن في الناس بالحج يأتوك رجالا وعلى كل ضامر يأتين من كل فج عميق. Call upon people to come either walking or riding from everywhere to perform the Hajj. And this ayat, some of the people that don't understand the Arabic language, في بعض الناس الذين لا يفهمون اللغة العربية، وأذن في الناس بالحج يأتوك رجالا وعلى كل ضامر. البعض اعتقد أن الحج يسقط عن النساء لأنه قال رجالا. رجالا يعني يمشون على أرجلهم وليس رجالا كالرجال. So there was a confusion about this ayat because it uses the word rijalan, and rijalan in Arabic means not only men, but it also means walking on foot. فهذه الآيات صريحة في إيجاب الحج حيث قال الله تعالى ولله على الناس وكلمة على إيجاب. It's mandatory, it's obligatory, and those are the translation of the ayat. ومن كفر أي ومن كفر بوجوب الحج قال تعالى وقال تعالى وأذن في الناس بالحج أي ادعوهم ونادهم إلى حج البيت وقيل أعلمهم أن الله فرض عليهم الحج بدليل قوله تعالى يأتوك. So it's clear from the ayat that it was made mandatory. قال ابن العربي بعد سياقه للآية ولله على الناس حج البيت قال علماؤنا هذا من أوكد ألفاظ الوجوب عند العرب إذ قال العربي لفلان علي كذا فقد وكله وأوجبه. وقال علماؤنا فذكر الله الحج بأبلغ ألفاظ الوجوب تأكيدا لحقه وتعظيما لحرمته وتقوية لفرضه. الأدلة من السنة. So the proofs from the tradition of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. ما رواه عبد الله بن عمر رضي الله تعالى عنه قال رسول صلى الله عليه وسلم, the Prophet of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم said, بني الإسلام على خمس. Islam is built upon 5 pillars. شهادة أن لا إله إلا الله, bear witness that there is no God but Allah, وأن محمد رسول الله, and Muhammad is his messenger صلى الله عليه وسلم, وإقام الصلاة, establishing a prayer, وإيتاء الزكاة, paying your zakat, وصوم رمضان, fasting the month of Ramadan, and of course وحج بيت الله الحرام لمن استطاع إليه سبيلا, and to perform the pilgrimage to whomever is capable to do it. وأيضا in a second hadith ما رواه أبو هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه خطبنا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فقال يا أيها الناس قد فرض الله عليكم الحج فحجوا. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم made a khutbah and he told the companions and his followers at the time that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had made it obligatory for all of you to perform the Hajj, so perform the Hajj. فقال رجل, a man asked the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم أكل عام يا رسول الله? He said every year. فسكت. The Prophet ﷺ did not reply immediately until حتى قالها ثلاثة, and then he repeated the question 3 times, the same man. فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, the Prophet replied back, لو قلت نعم لوجبت ولما استطعتم. He said, had I said yes, it would have become obligatory upon you to perform the Hajj every year, and I know you're not going to be able to. And alhamdulillah that he did not say yes, because it would have been a horrendous problem for a lot of us. ثم قال, and then he said, ذروني ما تركتم فإنما هلك من كان قبلكم بكثرة سؤال واختلاف على أنبيائهم. And then he corrected the person who asked the question and insisted and repeated. He said, when I reply to you, or if I don't reply immediately, don't keep asking the same question, because that was the problem with nations before you. They kept insisting until things became a lot more difficult for them. So whatever you can do, whatever I tell you, just follow. فهذه النصوص من السنة تدل دلالة قاطعة على وجوب الحج مرة واحدة في العمرة. So we have established from the tradition of the Prophet ﷺ and from the Quran that Hajj is obligatory once in a lifetime, of course, or as often as you can beyond that. But at least to fulfill the requirement, it's once in a lifetime when you are able to do it. وأنه ركن من أركان الإسلام ومبانيه العظام التي لا يتم إسلام المرء إلا به متى تحققت فيه شروط الوجوب وانتفت عنه موانع الأداء. فحري بالمسلم أن يبادر لإبراء ذمته وأداء ما عليه قبل أن تقول نفس يا حسرة على ما فرطت في جنب الله. So we're all encouraged, inshallah, as soon as you have fulfilled, as soon as you are capable and able to perform the Hajj. And this is just a reminder to many of us, do your best to be honest and sincere about it. If you are capable and able to perform the Hajj, perform it. Okay? Unless you have a pressing matter or an issue that you cannot go. But if you have the ability financially and health-wise, and the time to do it. And don't use the excuse that, you know, I have my business and I have my work and so on and so forth, because that's not acceptable, really. So you need to pay attention to that and perform the Hajj, because Allah knows when is the next time that you will be able to perform the Hajj. And I've also heard from, you know, very often that Hajj in a way is by invitation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when your intentions are sincere, inshallah, and you really want to perform the Hajj, believe you me, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to come in, wants to welcome you in His في بيته الحرام, in His sacred home. So He will help you, inshallah. So make that intention, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help you to get there. So, what are the benefits of the Hajj? Al-Hajj, أولاً يهدم ما قبله. Literally, when you perform the Hajj, it demolishes everything that you have done before the Hajj, meaning of all the bad and evil things. And Amr ibn al-As, the story about Hazrat Amr ibn al-As, radiallahu ta'ala, فَلَمَّا جَعَلَ اللَّهُ الْإِسْلَامَ فِي قَلْبِي أَتَيْتُ النَّبِيَّ صلى الله عليه وسلم. He said, when Islam entered into my heart, I came to the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, فَقُلْ ابْسِطْ يَمِينَكَ لِأُبَايِعَكَ. He said, extend your right hand so I can become a Muslim. فَبَسَطَ يَمِينَهُ عليه الصلاة والسلام. So the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم extended his right hand. فَقَبَضْتُ يَدِي. He said, I pulled my hand back. قَالَ مَا لَكَ يَا عَمْ. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم asked him, said, what's the matter? What's wrong? قال قلت أردت أن أشترط. He said, I wanted to have a condition upon me becoming a Muslim. قال تشترط بماذا? He said, what condition is that? قلت أن يغفر لي. He said, I want to be pardoned of all my sins. قال أما علمت أن الإسلام يهدم ما كان قبله وأن الهجرة تهدم ما كان قبلها وأن الحج يهدم ما كان قبله. The Prophet ﷺ taught him a lesson, and he said, had you not known that when you become a Muslim, everything that you have done before Islam, it gets wiped out, and then when you migrate for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just like the Sahaba and the Prophet ﷺ, when they migrated from Mecca to Medina or the Abyssinia, that also expiates all the sins before that. And then he said, and Al-Hajj is the same way. It wipes out everything. So you start coming back from the Hajj with a clean slate, inshallah. So that's one of the benefits. So that's number one. Two, ثانيا الحج يعود بعد حجه كيوم ولدته أمه. You will return just like the day you were born, fresh, inshallah. All the sins are gone, but all the good deeds, of course, are kept for you, inshallah. ثالثا الحج أفضل الأعمال بعد الإيمان والجهاد. Pilgrimage is better than all other deeds after Iman and after Jihad في سبيل الله. عن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه, حضرة أبو هريرة بن ريس, سئل النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أي الأعمال أفضل. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم was asked, what deeds are the best? قال الإيمان بالله ورسوله. He said, to believe in Allah and His Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. قيل ثم ماذا? And then he said, what else? قال ثم جهاد في سبيل الله. And then he said, making jihad for the sake of Allah. قيل ثم ماذا? And then what? قال ثم حج مبرور. And then performing the Hajj and meeting and fulfilling all the requirements and the conditions of Hajj. Real quick on the conditions and the requirements of Hajj. Of course, you cannot perform your Hajj from a source of income that is haram. That's not acceptable. And there are other things that you cannot be doing. You cannot be owing money to somebody and then going to perform the Hajj. You have to get their permission that they can wait on you, and the loan is due. And don't use the mortgage as an excuse. That's not the same thing, because your mortgage is not due now. Its mortgage is due over the 30 years. رابعا الحج أفضل الجهاد. الحج أفضل الجهاد. But the best of jihad is actually performing the Hajj. How do we know that? عن عائشة رضي الله تعالى عنها قالت قلت يا رسول الله نرى الجهاد أفضل الأعمال أفلا نجاهد. She was asking the Prophet ﷺ. She said, we understand that jihad is the best of deeds. Should we not perform more and more of jihad? قال لا لكن أفضل الجهاد حج مبرور. He said, no, you don't have to do the jihad all the time. But know this, that the best of jihad is actually performing the Hajj itself. عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه خامسا the fifth عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال العمرة إلى العمرة كفارة لما بينهما. From the time you perform the first time the Umrah, which is the mini Hajj as many people understand it, it's not, the Umrah can be performed anytime during the year. The Hajj of course is during the season of Hajj. But Umrah to Umrah, from the time you perform Umrah to the second time you perform Umrah, even if you didn't do the Hajj, it will wipe out all of your prior sins. وَالْحَجُّ الْمَبْرُورُ لَيْسَ لَهُ جَزَاءٌ إِلَّا الْجَنَّةِ. And a correctly completed Hajj, and that meets all the requirements, inshallah, the only reward for it is Jannah, inshallah. ومن فضائل الحج أن الحجاج والعمار وفق الله إن سألوه أعطاهم وإن دعوه أجابهم. When you go to someone's house or someone's, that has a lot of power, or king or emperor or something, and they're very generous, when you walk into their place, they will not deny you anything that you ask them. So, وَلِلَّهِ الْمَثَلُ الْأَعْلَى. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has, of course, the best of an example. So how when you go to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you ask him, He will reply to you, inshallah, and He will answer your prayer. And if you ask Him to forgive you, He will forgive you, inshallah. وأخيرا فإن الله يباهي بالحجاج ملائكته في صعيد عرفات ويتجلى لهم ويقول. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also is so proud of the group of Hajjis that are coming to perform the Hajj, and on the day of Arafah, He will brag in front of the angels. ويتجلى لهم ويقول في صعيد عرفات وجله انصرفوا مغفورا لكم إنه لفضل عظيم ونعمة الكبرى. And He tells all the Hajjis at the time that leave, I have forgiven all of your sins, inshallah. الحج هجرة إلى الله تعالى استجابة لدعوته وموسم دوري يلتقي فيه المسلمين. It's a congress, it's a conference, it's a convention every year that it happens. وقال يشهد منافع لهم على أكرم بقعة شرفها الله. وعبادة الإسلام وشعائره تهدف كلها إلى خير المسلمين في الدنيا والآخرة. ومن هنا كان الحج عبادة يتقرب بها المسلمون إلى خالقهم. It's a way for you to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when you perform the Hajj. فتصفو نفوسهم ويلتقون على المودة يربط بينهم الإيمان رغم تباعد الأخبار واختلاف الديار. When you walk around in the Hajj, and we'll talk about that here in just a moment, inshallah. But it just gets the Muslims closer together. It gets everybody closer together. Because when you see the different color of skin, all what you can tell is slightly different color of skin, but you're all one. You're all equal. You're all wearing the same thing. You're all barefoot. You're all wearing the ihram. No difference between you, whether you're Persian, you're an Arab, you're non-Arab, and so on and so forth. So everybody is equal, inshallah. The objectives of the Hajj. الحج امتثال لأوامر الله واستجابة لله. The first thing, of course, is you are fulfilling the requirement and you're obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by performing the Hajj. And that in itself is, of course, a great deal. الحج فيه تأسٍ بأبينا إبراهيم عليه السلام. Okay, so when we perform the Hajj, we remember our great father Ibrahim. May Allah have peace upon him. لقد أمر الله أبانا إبراهيم عليه السلام أن يؤذن في الناس بالحج وكتب الله لمن شاء من عباده أن يلبوا هذا النداء رجالا أو ركبانا. ففي الحج ابتداء بالصالحين وتأسي بمن أمرنا الله أن نتأسى بهم وجعلهم قدوة حسنة لنا. وقد كان لكم أسوة حسنة في إبراهيم والذين معه. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made Ibrahim and those who are with him as a good example for us. Thirdly, الحج فيه الارتباط بمقبض الوحي. When you perform the Hajj, it brings you back to the holiest spot where Quran started the revelation in Mecca. So it gives you that connection. رابعا في الحج إعلان عملي لمبدأ المساواة بين الناس. As I said earlier, it establishes equality. And equality is so important in our faith, in our religion. And that's why so many people love the religion of Islam, because of the issue of equality. When you walk in, everybody is in the same row. Who's in the first row? The best of the community, the richest of the community? No. Who's in the first row? Whoever got here first. He could be the poorest, he could be the richest. but everybody is equal. When everybody prays, you're all in the same line. You know, nobody steps forward because, no, I got a lot more than what you have. You step back a little bit. No, we don't have that. Equality is very, very important. And believe you me, many of the reasons of wars because of inequalities and injustice. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala establishes that equality for you, especially at Hajj. When you're walking around, there's no difference between you and other Hajji, inshallah. والذي أدى فريضة الحج في السنوات الأخيرة يلتمس هذه الأهداف ماثلة للعيان، فكم من أموال بذلت في سبيل الله وكم من تجارب تمت الاستفادة منها وكم من لقاءات جانبية تداول فيها المجتمعون. And then when you gather up, you know, the friends that you make during the Hajj, those friendships will last you for a lifetime. Alhamdulillah, to this day, I am in touch with many of the Hajjis that I performed the Hajj with back in 2003, over 14 years ago. We still communicate, we still say salam, we still wish each other happy Eid and happy Ramadan and so on and so forth. And they're scattered all over the world, you know, but you still have that great connection. And believe you me, brothers and sisters, the first time your eyes fall on that Kaaba, you will feel something that no one can ever describe to you. So many of us, I have seen the Kaaba, you know, before I performed the Hajj, alhamdulillah, many times on TV. But that moment, when you see it alive, you have no way to control yourself. Let's start here. It is such an amazing scene. It's such what is so real. You know, people are just all around and just making the tawaf and everybody, and you see, you know, tremendous amount of people, probably in the hundreds of thousands of people. And subhanAllah, it's very quiet. You don't hear any noise. It's so beautiful, so peaceful. And from the moment you lie your eyes down on that Kaaba, to the moment you leave, every time you walk in, you just want to see the Kaaba and feel that feeling in your heart. And want to continue to feel that feeling in your heart. And that connection continues with you for the rest of your life. Ask anybody who performed the Hajj. Tell them, would you like to go back right now and see the Kaaba again and perform another Umrah or Hajj? In a heartbeat. If they are able to, they will say, no hesitation. I'm there, inshallah. So keep that in mind, inshallah, to experience that wonderful feeling, inshallah. So the effects of Hajj, آثار الحج. أحدهما آثار الحج في حياة الأمة الإسلامية والثاني آثار الحج في من أدى الفريضة. So there are two different kinds of effects to the Hajj when the Hajj is performed. One effect that affects the Ummah itself, the nation itself, and then it has those individual effects on you. للحج آثار عظيمة على المجتمع الإسلامي. So when it comes to the community or to the Ummah, وصل حاضر الأمة بماضيها. It connects the current, the present of the Ummah with its past. So it's that continuation. You feel that history. You understand the history. You feel all the way back to when Adam alayhi salam built the Kaaba for the first time, and then when Hazrat Ibrahim rebuilt the Kaaba, and then that continuation of Islam and this religion, inshallah. So it connects you with the history. سقوط الشعارات الزائفة من آثار الحج سقوط الشعارات الزائفة التي تجعل التفاضل بين الناس. And then it establishes again for you that no one is different than the other. You're all equal in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Tawheed kalimat al-Muslimin, it brings Muslims together. It unifies Muslims. It unites them, inshallah. تبادل المنافع التجارية والتجارب الاقتصادية. And it's also a way that affects the Muslim Ummah, because it's a way to exchange ideas. You know, if you're a doctor, if you're a merchant, if you're an engineer, and you start meeting others from other parts of the world, and you start exchanging ideas, well, this is how we do this where we are, and this is how we do it. Oh, mashallah, and you learn something new. So that exchange is indeed a positive thing upon the Ummah, inshallah. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي استغفر الله. والصلاة والسلام على رسوله المصطفى. I'm sorry, I'm going a little fast. Once again, I remind you and I remind myself about taqwa. أذكركم بتقوى الله عز وجل. يعني أنا مستعجل شوي سامحوني, but I can see some of the eyes are falling asleep and you're getting tired. so I'm not going to make it painful for you, inshallah. I will conclude. But this is such an important topic. You know, you need to fulfill one of the pillars of Islam. So bear with me, inshallah. In a few minutes we'll be done. We'll be performing the salah, and then all of your energy will come back. It's amazing how as soon as you leave the masjid, alhamdulillah, you're energetic, you're willing to do anything. But 10-15 minutes here is hard. So, أثار الحج في من أدى الفريضة. So on the individual itself, تجديد ذكر الله. You renew the meaning of your iman in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It renews that feeling in your heart, the belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. في أداء مناسك الحج يتذكر المسلم اليوم الآخر. It's also a reminder about the day after. The day after. There's a whole surah in the Holy Quran about Al-Hajj. But the talk of the surah really doesn't have a lot to do with the pilgrimage itself, but it talks a lot more about the day after. Because that's how it's going to be in the day after. Except the only thing is you're not even going to have the ihram. Everybody's going to be like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created them the first time when you were born. Everybody's walking around naked, but nobody cares to see what else is going on. All what you're worried about is what's going to happen to me in this heat and in this weather, in this very difficult condition. And some of that is felt during the Hajj. You know, it's the congestion when you have all of these people performing the Hajj. And I always remember, the first time I tried to do my Umrah, and I was so tired coming from, a long trip and finally got the ihram on and I'm trying to do the tawaf around the Kaaba, and it got really congested. And I'm worried that I'm going to trip over and fall and hurt someone. So I started walking on the first floor, and it was getting worse and worse. And then I started walking on the second floor, and then finally I ended up on the roof. And then whoever did the pilgrimage and you do the tawaf around the roof, it's 1 kilometer around. When you're at the bottom, close to Kaaba, it's very fast. When you're up there, it's 1 kilometer. I was so tired. And I prayed to Allah. I said, Allah, you gotta help me out. I can't do this. I am exhausted. And I was a lot younger then. So another message is do it when you are still younger, because it's not that easy physically. There's a lot of walking. I mean, we were eating like horses, subhanAllah. All the Hajjis, mashallah. Food is endless. Don't worry about the food. You will eat like a mashallah. And you will walk a lot, and you will come back and you have lost weight. But you will crash and sleep for 3-4 days after you come back here, you're so tired. So those are some of the effects on the individuals. And then of course, you are winning the greatest thing, which is the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Him pardoning your sins, inshallah. You also learn to sacrifice. You're sacrificing your time, you're sacrificing your wealth, you're sacrificing, and it takes a lot of patience to perform the Hajj. A lot of patience. يحتاج إلى الصبر يعني عظيم جدا. Subhanallah, I remember again one time I was performing the tawaf and I got shoved really hard. And you're not supposed to get upset and lose your patience. And I turned around and I totally just had all the grip on myself, and I smiled at the brother behind me like, why? He said, brother, I'm so sorry, it's not me, it's the group behind me that shoved me. So you have to be really, really patient. And then the other thing that you got to keep in mind is you have different cultures and different understanding of the religion. It's like amazing, subhanAllah, some people really have a clear misunderstanding of this religion. To them, certain things you got to do it. I accidentally, one brother had a little prayer rug in front of him, and I reached over to put the Quran away because I was getting ready to pray or something, and I stepped on his prayer rug. SubhanAllah, he was about to throw me from the roof, all the way down. What are you doing? I said, SubhanAllah, I am so sorry. What did I do? He said, you're still standing on my rug. I said, I am so sorry, Akhi. It's just a prayer rug. No, it's not. I said, okay. I'm so sorry. A lot of things. from the moment I arrived, I had a slippers that I know it's the right slipper for the Hajj. One brother sat next to me and he didn't say salam, he didn't say anything. He didn't even care who I was. Didn't want to, meet me or nothing. He looks and he points at the slippers. That's wrong slipper. SubhanAllah. I know it's not the wrong slipper, but that's okay. I said, I apologize, I'm sorry, it's off. I'm walking barefoot until I walk away. And then you gotta mind your slippers too, because they do get lost, so be careful. Al-Hajj tadrib amali lil-Hajj ala sabr wa-ta'a. And this is, patience is a virtue. And inshallah, it really teaches you, it tests your patience. It tests your patience from the moment you depart, the moment you go through all the process, you get approval and get the visa and pay everything, and then the time you arrive, and the hours and hours of waiting, endless hours of waiting, because all the groups have to be together. And you don't understand what's going on, but when you look from the sky and see what's going on with 2 million to 3 million Hajji arriving at the same time, departing at the same time, it's a logistic nightmare. It's a logistic nightmare. But alhamdulillah, it happens every year, and many years, alhamdulillah, people go there and perform the Hajj and come back. And the amazing thing is, every salah, people die. I don't know what happened, but every salah, we have a salah janazah. It's like, subhanAllah. But a lot of people, they believe it's the best place to pass away. And Allah, maybe. Al-Hajj nuqtatut hawlin fi hayat al-Hajj. It's a turning moment for you when you perform the Hajj. You gotta change yourself, because now you have gone through all the trouble, you have gone through all of the commotions of performing the Hajj. Now it behooves you to make that as a turning point, inshallah, in your life, so you will continue to receive the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But going to Hajj, performing the Hajj and coming back and going back to exactly what you were before, no difference. Just like when we fast the whole month of Ramadan, you start the first day of Ramadan, 5 days after the month of Ramadan, you're back to everything as it used to be before. يقول عليه الصلاة والسلام في الحديث الصحيح: أما خروجك من بيتك تأم البيت الحرام فإن لك بكل وطأة تطأها راحلتك يكتب الله لك بها حسنة. The Prophet ﷺ tells us that when you head out seeking to perform the Hajj, for every moment that your car, whatever you're doing, that your tires spinning, for every second of that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will count for you as a good deed and wipe out as a bad deed. وَأَمَّا وُقُوفُكَ بِعَرَفَةَ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ يَنزِلُ إِلَى السَّمَاءِ الدُّنْيَا. The day of Arafah is such a great day, because that is the only day that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with His majesty, بِعَظَمَتِهِ وَجَلَالِهِ, ينزل إلى السماء الدنيا فيباهي بهم الملائكة. That's the only time Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will descend to our heavenly earth, to earthly heaven during the day. The rest of the time, when does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do that for all of us? متى؟ في الثلث الأخير من الليل. But the last 1/3 of the night when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does that. Except for the day of Arafah, يقول هؤلاء عبادي. And then He tells the angels, those are my servants. جاءوني شعثا غبرا من كل فج عميق. They're dusty, their hair is messed up. They came to me seeking my pleasure. يرجون رحمتي. They are seeking my mercy. ويخافون عذابي. And they are worried and scared from my punishment. ولم يروني. And they never saw me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling this to the angels. فكيف لو رأوني? How would they do had they seen me? فلو كان عليك مثل رمل عالج أو مثل أيام الدنيا أو مثل قطر السماء ذنوبا غسلها الله عنك. No matter how much sins that you have, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will cleanse you from all of these sins. وأما رميك الجمار, when you do الجمار, when you throw the stones, and you're not doing this to hit Iblis, get that out of your mind. This is not to throw away to kill Iblis. No. Some people, subhanAllah, I saw some brothers, with the slippers, and he's just hitting. It's like, subhanAllah, what are you doing? What do you do? فإنه مذخور لك. You will be rewarded. وأما حلقك رأسك, when you shave your head, فإن لك بكل شعرة تسقط حسنة. For every hair that drops from your head, for everyone, you will have a good deed, inshallah. So have a lot of hair. فإذا طفت بالبيت خرجت من ذنوبك كيوم ولدتك أمك. So when you make the final tawaf, it's like you were born again, inshallah. So, a couple of logistics things, inshallah. As we all know, alhamdulillah, next Friday, inshallah, is going to be the day of Eid. And some brothers may get a little confused. Some people read, that if you perform the Eid in the morning, the Salat al-Eid, then you're not obligated to perform al-Jum'ah. Okay? The Prophet ﷺ made that permissible for those who are traveling from far away. So he didn't want to make trouble for them to come all the way back to the masjid one more time. So for us, inshallah, we will have the Eid prayer, and we will have also a Jum'ah prayer, because some people may not be able to make the Eid prayer, and the Eid prayer is a sunnah, but Salat al-Jum'ah is what? Is a fard. So we will have both, inshallah. And then, because of the timing and because of the heat and everything, inshallah, we will start the takbir at 7, and then the salah, inshallah, at 7:30. And then, of course, a reminder about Sawm Yawm Arafah. We all know about the benefits of Siyam Yawm Arafah, which will be Thursday, inshallah. باللغة العربية يا إخوان إن شاء الله العيد يكون يوم الجمعة، وسنصلي الصلاتين، صلاة العيد إن شاء الله ستبدأ التكبيرات في الساعة 7 صباحا، والصلاة إن شاء الله في الساعة 7:30، وستقام أيضا صلاة الجمعة. وأذكركم أيضا بصيام يوم عرفة، وهو يوم الخميس، والذي احتسب عليه الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم أن يكفر ذنوب سنة فاتت وسنة مقبلة إن شاء الله. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you fast the day of Arafah, will expiate your sins for a year past and a year forward, inshallah. هذا وصلى وسلم على إمام المرسلين عليه الصلاة والسلام. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت وسلمت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم، وبارك اللهم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما باركت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. وارض اللهم عن خلفائه الراشدين وعن أزواجه أمهات المؤمنين وعن سائر الصحابة أجمعين وعن المؤمنين والمؤمنات إلى يوم الدين، وعنا معهم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم اجعل جمعنا هذا جمعا مرحوما، واجعل تفرقنا من بعده تفرقا معصوما، ولا تدع فينا ولا معنا شقيا ولا محروما. اللهم اعز الإسلام والمسلمين، وحد اللهم صفوفهم، وأجمع كلمتهم على الحق، واكسر شوكة الظالمين، واكتب السلام والأمن لعبادك أجمعين. اللهم يا حي يا قيوم يا ذا الجلال والإكرام، لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك بك نستجير وبرحمتك نستغيث، ألا تكلنا إلى أنفسنا طرفة عين ولا أدنى من ذلك ولا أكثر، وأصلح لنا شأننا كله يا مصلح شأن الصالحين. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات، إنك سميع قريب مجيب الدعاء. عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. فاذكروا الله يذكركم واشكروه يزدكم وأقم الصلاة.